Welcome to Let Me Know How It Is, a pop culture podcast about animation, TV, movies, comics, and more. On this episode, we'll be talking about our favorite Halloween-themed specials and episodes of television shows. I'm Frank Melman.
I'm Zach Slater.
And I'm Clifton.
All right, so we decided we would like to discuss those episodes that came up, once a year. I think that was one of the things when I was looking at this, it seemed to be more of a less frequent thing, like than a holiday or like a Christmas-themed episode. But basically, we're just going to look at our favorite Halloween specials and those shows that remember had those really great Halloween episodes. I mean, that's pretty much it, right? That's not too overly or simplified.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
Okay. Yeah, we almost had that thing of when we were talking about coming up with ideas for the episode that we realized we had never done this one before.
Right.
Which I think we were all kind of stunned. I know Zach and I were kind of surprised that this was something that we had never covered before. Yeah. So
we were like, how did we miss this?
Right, exactly. Like this one this should have been easy to do. So having said that, I know I always looked forward to a Halloween special or a Halloween episode. Because again, I think it was just one of those things where they're just not as frequent or they didn't seem to be as big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't like there was never a let's gather the family. I mean, somewhat, but not really a big let's gather the family around to watch, a Halloween episode as opposed to like a Christmas or a holiday one.
Right. I mean, definitely Christmas was far more prolific in their TV specials and episodes. I do feel like you probably did get more TV episodes, just like an episode in a normal season that was a Halloween centric one, then you got the separate specials.
Right.
I do kind of feel like that was the case. I feel like there were even more possibly Valentine's Day specials in the 80s than there were Halloween specials.
Yeah.
Because I could do like you tell me the I love the Chipmunks Valentine's special. I can give you like 3 episodes on just that special.
Could you chapter and verse all that, Clifton?
Oh, I could.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Captain Chipmunk, I loved all that stuff.
It's a good one.
But like the Halloween one's just a little less prevalent in my memory.
Okay.
But still great. But still I loved them when we got them.
Sure.
I always dug I love a Christmas special. I love you guys know that.
Sure.
Like I love them. But
right.
What I always dug about the Halloween episodes was that they were a little bit more like open to playing around.
Right.
There were there's certain kind of tropes that you expect to see in Christmas episode things that kind of like pop up.
Right.
All the time, no matter what show you're watching and everything. And I think that Halloween lets you be a little bit more flexible and can kind of play with stuff a bit more. I mean, there's definitely
like more experimentation.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely tropes there too that you'll see, but
right.
Yeah,
I like that it's a different flavor,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of think I know what Zach's saying. Where it's like basically like in Christmas, it's always got to be like giving, it's got to be Santa, it's got to be family comes together. Like you hit like those hard tropes, like any Hallmark movie trope, really.
Yep.
And then, but for Halloween, like anything spooky works, and just say it's Halloween, and like it can just be anything a little eerie, a little weird, a little spooky, and we can do what we want. We don't have to hit like it doesn't have to be always about trick or treating, though often it will be. It doesn't have to be like bobbing for apples, though often it will be.
Exactly. Right. It can be, but there's no it's a Halloween miracle. There's none, right? Like.
I want to see that now. Now that you put that out there, I want a Halloween miracle.
Yep.
Give me that episode. All right. So who would like to begin with their first offering for Halloween special or episode?
I'll go.
All right. Very good.
This is just like my entire list is just ones that make me feel good. And that's it.
That's fine. That's perfectly okay.
That's my criteria.
Sure.
So for number 1, the episode is called Hex and the Single Guy.
Okay.
Season 4, episode 7 of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Okay. I thought you were going to say of Sex and the City.
Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
So basically, the setup for this one is season 4. So Hillary's fiance died in a bungee accident a couple episodes before.
Right? Am I supposed to laugh?
Oh yeah, it's hilarious.
Okay.
I'm not joking.
Or was it a very special episode?
Right,
It's a hilarious episode.
Okay. All right.
But so he dies, and then Halloween comes around, and she wants to do like a seance.
Oh.
right? So she wants to go to like a medium to like try and like contact him and talk to him. And so she takes the whole family and they go to this, to this guy who everybody's convinced that like this guy's just like a snake oil salesman, right? And so like Will is just like making jokes and making fun of him repeatedly the whole time.
Right.
And then so at the end of that, the medium puts a hex on Will.
Oh.
Right? Curses Will. And then like all the jokes just kind of like come from the fact that he wakes up the next day and he's cursed. And all this horrible stuff happens to him and the family. It's an awesome episode. I love it.
Okay.
And I'm the only one here that has seen it.
I was going to say, what's some of the stuff that happens to him? Because I'm not familiar with this one at all.
So,
and I'm still reeling from the fact that Hillary's fiance dies from a bungee. That's intense.
One of the good bits in this is Carlton's costume in this episode is he dyes his hair blonde, and he goes as Macaulay Culkin.
Okay, I remember that. That actually rings true with me. I remember that. Okay, I remember that imagery. But okay,
yeah,
okay.
And so like that's one of the things. So like the next day he shows up and his hair like he looks like his hair's like pink and green and blue and everything. And they're like, what happened to you? And he's like, what? They're like, go rinse that stuff out of your hair. He's like, I did yesterday. He goes, oh, it's the hex,
right?
The hex,
right?
Like this is the kind of episode that we're in.
Okay, got you. Sure. Yeah, I've seen that Gilligan's Island. I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yes, but no, that sounds cool. That's a good one. So is it one of those things at the end, like it has to be the curse, it has to be removed, or is it one of those things where, we were kind of silly to think it was a hex, it was just a bunch of coincidences?
No, so he goes to try. It's funny. This is where like the show had like this weird kind of like malleable like format and stuff. Where like sometimes they would break the fourth wall, sometimes they wouldn't. Like that kind of stuff. So they got away with like kind of funny weird jokes like this. So the idea was that like he goes to the medium to try and get the hex reversed. Right? And he's like pleading with the guy, and the guy like doesn't remember Will at all.
Okay.
And he's like pleading with him. He's like, just break the hex. And then like as he's yelling, you then dissolve into like Will, who's like in bed and he's yelling and it's a bad dream.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
But the punchline is that like he gets up and he's like relaxed, like, oh God, what a terrible dream. And then Carlton's like, well, come on, let's go get some breakfast. So then they go into the family kitchen, and then the scene that unfolds is the exact beginning of the episode, like verbatim.
Okay.
So he sets in motion the entire like it's all happening over again.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's a fun bit.
Yeah.
Nice. Clifton, what about you? What's your first episode or special? I don't want to slight the specials.
Right. This one's going to be it's an episode.
Okay.
It's an episode of Gravity Falls.
Oh, wow. Okay.
On the Disney Channel animated series, which is funny because the entire series takes place over one summer.
Okay.
So to get a Halloween episode in, they came up with a holiday, like a new holiday that town celebrates called Summerween, which is it's like sometime in the middle of the summer.
Okay.
They just choose to celebrate Halloween in the summer.
Okay.
But it's a very good episode. They just use all the same Halloween tropes. So they're trick-or-treating, everything,
Right.
dressing up. And the gimmick in this one is that there's like a creature that is haunting and terrorizing them. And they don't know what it is, kind of a little bit of spoilers. They find out that it is the like haunted remains of the loser candy that nobody eats at Halloween. That every year everybody throws out, and it is all like congealed into this blob type monster that is out for revenge for all of the children ignoring it every year. The loser candy.
That's pretty great. It's a bunch of Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah, like
candy corn,
Charleston chews, whatever.
Circus peanuts.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's a monster made up of all of that candy. And it's a great episode. It's actually the first I feel like it's the episode that sold me on Gravity Falls.
Okay.
And I don't even remember, I can't remember exactly where in the series. I think it's in season 1, but I can't remember exactly where. But I had been a little familiar with the show before that, and like I'd cut some pieces, and they would run these shorts on Disney Channel as interstitial type stuff, just a few minute shorts here and there. But it was like that episode was the one that really sold me, where I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. And it is creepy. Like the episode is creepy and weird. And then they did another short one of the Gravity Falls shorts that there were like, almost 20 of, if I remember right. That's also around, it takes place after that episode, and it's like another creature shows up to eat their candy that they have left over from Summerween, and that's a really weird short, but it's also really good too.
Mm-hmm.
These are available on Disney Plus for sure, and I think Gravity Falls is available on Hulu as well at the moment. So I'd check those two out, the Summerween and the Summerween short.
Very cool.
I've never seen this one, but Gravity Falls is awesome.
It was a good show.
It is a great show.
I've started a few times and not gotten past. I keep getting about the same episode, and then something happens, or I chose, something comes back, and I haven't finished it. But I do keep meaning to get back to it because I liked what I've seen. So
yeah, and just a summary: if anybody listening isn't familiar with Gravity Falls at all, the premise of the show is that Mabel and Dipper are two children who go to stay with their Grunkle Stan for the summer in the town of Gravity Falls, and he runs like a cheap tourist trap museum about like odd creatures, kind of like a Ripley's Believe It or Not type museum where he's like got all these fake like Bigfoots and all this stuff, and then they're on the search for real ones. They're hunting for real mystery creatures in the woods of Gravity Falls. It's a great show. I love it.
Their shop always gave me Brian Fuller vibes.
Like
I don't know why.
Falls.
no, I can see that.
I don't know why.
No, I can see that.
I always associated that shop with the shop from Wonder Falls.
Yeah, that makes sense. A little kitschy, a little bit Chotsky-ish.
Right.
Yep.
It's like you said, it's a tourist trap.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see that. All right, so mine is my first one. I'm going to keep animated in the realm of animation as well. This one's going to go way back. This is from November 1st of 1986. It's a real Ghostbusters episode called "When Halloween Was Forever." If you're unfamiliar with it, as I'm sure most of the people listening, and I don't know, have you guys seen this episode? Does it sound familiar to you?
Yes, I'm almost certain I've seen it because I'm picturing something that I think is from it.
Okay, so anyway, you know the Ghostbusters, Egon, Ray, Peter, Winston. There's this episode where there's the remains of something ancient, and by one of those things where something happens, and the spirit of Halloween, Sam Hain, is released.
Yep, that's what I was picturing. That's the part I remembered.
And then decides that Halloween has to last forever, and calls forth an army of the night. And it's one of the first times, like, in watching this show, like I don't know where it falls exactly in the seasons. I believe it's, let me see if I can find it. No, I don't have that. I have just that it's Sam Hain. But it's one of those episodes where it's not a goofy villain. It's not a villain that's played for laughs. The Ghostbusters genuinely seem like they're scared of Sam Hain and they don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And I love that. I thought that was a great thing of them actually have to deal with something as opposed to, not that I'm saying that the Gozer the Gozerian or Vigo the Scourge, Vigo the Carpith, that guy's not that those weren't threats, but most of the Ghostbusters stuff is played for laughs, but this wasn't. This was actually like a genuine thing of how we're going to get out of this and how we're going to stop Sam Hain. Yeah, and I love it. It's one of my favorite Halloween things ever, just because, again, I loved the Ghostbusters at the time, and it would just seem like a genuine, it was kind of scary. Some of the design stuff for the real Ghostbusters was, well, they were kind of goofy drawn. Some of that stuff could be a little, edgy,
right?
At least design-wise.
Yeah.
Episodes written by J. Michael Straczynski.
Okay. It was the creator of the show, right? He was showrunner of Real Ghostbusters, if I remember right.
Yeah, he was on it for quite some time.
Because he also wrote the Christmas episode that came up in our Christmas special.
There you go.
Episode that I brought up.
Yeah, but if you enjoy if you enjoy Ghostbuster stuff at all, the Real Ghostbusters had its moments where it was pretty good. This one's one of the ones that I think is better than some of the other ones. But the idea of Halloween, I think it may have been. I thought at one point that Grant Morrison had a similar idea for a movie. I remember reading about it at one point where it was the same thing where. But it was a time travel experiment that goes awry, and then the night gets stuck. Basically, it's like a skipping record on Halloween kind of a thing.
Okay.
And it always reminds me, when I first heard it, I'm like, well, that sounds like the episode of the Ghostbusters, or Real Ghostbusters. So,
right.
But yeah, I love this one. I think this is a great episode. And like I said, when I think of fun Halloween stuff, this is one I always think of. It's streaming on, let me see, I had that earlier. Where'd I put it? You can watch on YouTube, Apple TV, Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Any of those places, you should be able to find this episode.
Yeah, that's one. What I remembered was the Sam Hain villain. I remember the visual of like the robe and the giant pumpkin head.
Yeah, for sure.
Like when you were talking about it, that's the thing that really stuck with me. That I remember when you were talking about it.
Yep.
And like it was a great look.
Yeah. And I think from that point on, he kind of becomes like a kind of a reoccurring villain for them in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's in like maybe 2 or 3 more episodes. And I think when they did like the reboot, the first animated reboot for it, where it's like other characters as Ghostbusters, I think he comes back for that too. So
okay. The other like creature that recurred on their show that creeped me out was the Boogeyman.
Yeah.
The Boogeyman episodes were fantastic. Like those are still haunting. Like with the goat legs or whatever and the big head. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, they did again. It's like I said, it was not all like, most of Ghostbuster stuff is played for fun, but this was like, there were a couple points where it kind of skirted actually delving into like being kind of horrific or scary. So.
Right.
All right. Who'd like to go next?
I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Interesting. No.
Okay.
And what's also interesting is you guys brought up with your 2. I'm like, wow, you know what? I don't have any animation on my.
Stop it. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Did you forget about animation?
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a bunch. So, well, not a bunch, but I have more than 2 or 3. So, but what do you got? So then, Zach, what do you got next?
Well, we're going to go to Home Improvement next.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
yeah.
Season 3, episode 6. Crazy for You.
Okay.
All right. So what I like about this is the Halloween prank trope.
Okay.
That you see sometimes in Halloween episodes for sitcoms. What I like about this one is you kind of forget that that's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like it's kind of alluded to a little bit that Tim sort of, is always like playing jokes on people and stuff like that. And then you kind of forget about it. And then there's a subplot where you think that Tim has like a crazy stalker, who's like a fan of the show.
Right.
And it's like, I don't want to say like creepy, but they try and make it like, we're like for real. Like, oh, this is getting creepy. Like, wow, this lady's like,
it's like Fatal Attraction.
Who knows what this lady wants to do? Her name is Rose.
Yeah.
And she's like sending stuff to the set and yada 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 and all this stuff. And then, and then it culminates to like a Halloween party that they throw and everything like that. And then you find out that basically like the whole cast got in on this thing to trick Tim.
Okay.
Right. So this is one of those, they were like, his wife was in on it, the neighbors were in on it, Wilson was in on it, Al.
Right.
All of them, they sort of like plotted to terrorize him, basically.
Right.
Was Wilson wearing a wig, like pretending to be Rose?
Close.
Yeah.
It's Al.
Of course it is.
So yeah, that's one of those. That's another one. Like, it just, it's silly, it's goofy.
Right.
It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I've run out of adjectives.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm glad you covered the prank episode, like the prank type archetype, or the prank not archetype. What am I saying? The prank trope. I like the idea of the prank trope because I don't really have any of those on mine. Nobody really does it, like that particular bit, but I do like that bit. I think that bit's fun for Halloween because I don't think a lot of times, like I said, Halloween specials or episodes don't really play with that too much.
Yeah,
or enough. So, Clifton, what do you have next?
Well, I'm sticking with animation since Zach is neglecting it.
Oddly neglected.
Taking a break.
This is one that I counted as a special. It's actually 6 parts, but those 6 parts add up to like an hour or so, and that is Over the Garden Wall that ran on Cartoon Network.
Okay.
Which is an animated limited series that they ran in the fall for a while, like just once a year, and each part is about 11 minutes, if I remember right. So it ran on Cartoon Network originally from November 3rd to November 7th of 2014. So it actually missed Halloween slightly, which is weird because it's become like, everyone's Halloween staple since then.
Yeah.
And it does, like, I mean, if you watch it, it makes sense to be a Halloween staple.
Right.
But it was created by Patrick McHale. Like, I think Zach has seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Even though he's ignoring the animation today. It's a throwback to like old style animation too. It's one of the first kind of things I'd seen throwing back to that style of that you referred to, like with Cuphead. Cuphead also, it's differently a tribute to the old style animation, like Golden Age animation, but it is like a tribute nonetheless. I would say. And just some of the spookiness of it is kind of like, what was the Mickey Mouse, not the Mickey Mouse, but like the Dancing Skeletons cartoon from like
the Skeleton Dance?
Yeah, Skeleton. Yeah. Dancing Skeleton cartoon. Yeah, of course it's called Skeleton Dance. There are things in it that remind me of like that type of golden age animation all throughout it before it culminates and you find out like what this mystery is, because it's like brothers lost in a fantasy world and just keep encountering like more and more strange things in this world each episode as it goes. But it's creepy, it's melancholy, it's just really, really well done. And I love it. So I count it as one special for now.
Gotcha.
Even though it is six, well, I guess it's not 6, it's 10. It's 10 episodes. I was off on that. But yeah, so it's long, but it's like a little movie. It's like a little like Halloween time autumn celebration movie that I would recommend watching every autumn, every October.
Okay.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, like I say that like visually, but also just as the whole thing. Like it's a masterpiece. Okay. It really is. Like I really like it. For some reason I didn't remember it. When I was making my list for this show, which is interesting because like it's actually getting ready to air again on Cartoon Network. Like they're dusting it off.
Okay.
To run it, which if this sounds interesting to any listeners out there and you haven't seen it, check it out on Cartoon Network because I think it's not on HBO Max anymore.
They yanked it from Max. That is true. Strangely, it's on Hulu right now.
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not on.
So give them the views.
At the moment, it's not on Cartoon Network app. It's not on like Adult Swim app. It's not on Max. But it is on Hulu, so you can watch it on Hulu. That's where I was just starting to watch it again today. It's got Elijah Wood is one of the main character voices. Melanie Linsky.
Okay.
Christopher Lloyd, Tim Curry are additional voices on it. It's a very good show.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
I don't know it to be true for sure, but in my head, Over the Garden Wall gave us Infinity Train.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like I think that like that sort of they occupy similar spaces in my head where they're 11-minute format shows. It's sort of kind of like built to like a bigger story that's sort of kind of a slow burn, a little bit like, where's this going? What is this about? Like what's happening here? Right. But also like daring enough to be kind of creepy in places and to push different buttons than you typically see on a Cartoon Network show and everything. Like I just kind of admire the fact that somebody said out there, I'm going to make something that might scare kids and we're not going to be afraid of that.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, as weird as it is to say that, like I think it's cool that they're making stuff like that, or they were at that point. And while I don't have Infinity Train on my list, some episodes of that could also fit in here for what we're talking about too.
Yeah, just the little like end summary for Over the Garden Wall, just in case, you know, just to give the premise across, as reading from Wikipedia. The series centers on two half-brothers who travel across a mysterious forest to find their way home, encountering a variety of strange and fantastical things on their journey.
Okay. And
that's it. It's somber, it's macabre, it's a little creepy, a little whimsical. It's like it's just all sorts of magical stuff going on in the show. Highly recommend it.
That sounds great. I was not aware of it, but I will definitely check it out now that I can find it on Hulu.
Yeah, watch it on Hulu.
I will definitely do that. All right, I have another animated entry. Make up for Zach's lack of animation.
Zach's negligence.
I really dropped the ball.
You did. I'm stunned. So I'm glad I have something I can put.
We thought you liked animation.
Yeah, right. What happened? But no, this one is an episode of King of the Hill from it aired October 26, 1997. So again, that's going back a ways. But it's called Halloween. In this particular episode, it's Halloween is approaching, and Hank is excited, and a woman named Junie Harper decides Halloween needs to be canceled because it's a satanic holiday, and she gets her way, and they decide to cancel Halloween. And I think it's one of those things where, like, again, this is, you know, we're talking, what, if it's 97, almost over 25 years ago, but it's a precursor to some things where we are now with people being upset about, you know, the puristic of thing of Halloween being not, being satanic, and we can't celebrate Halloween, and they try to have kind of a religious Halloween experience that gets sort of pushed aside for just enjoying the traditions of Halloween and the fun of it, and not taking it quite so seriously.
Okay.
But yeah, it's one of the things where, Bobby starts to think, this woman gets a hold of Bobby, and Bobby starts to think that Hank might be a Satanist, like a closeted Satanist, which I think is a great bit. Yeah, it's a wonderful episode. I mean, King of the Hill is great, but it's a great episode of King of the Hill. It's it's early on. It's not, and it's, cause King of the Hill ran for like 13 seasons. So it's, season 2, episode 4, and you can find it. It's streaming on Hulu, I believe.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's on there. But yeah, it's a wonderful one. It's a great episode because it's just one of those episodes of like thumbing its nose at tradition, but at the same time, being like, no, this is still okay that we still celebrate this. And again, it's not like King of the Hill isn't rooted in small town stuff, which I think is great because it's one of those things where I think it's a nice commentary on like, no, we don't always have to be, just because something isn't right for us doesn't mean it can't be right for other people.
Right.
So yeah, I would recommend that one. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know this one.
It's funny because whenever they made it, I'm sure, they're referencing like the previous Satanic Panic. I don't know if they thought it was going to come back around.
Right. Right. Yeah, because if you experienced it or heard about it or lived through the whole Satanic Panic of Dungeons and Dragons.
Right. Judas Priest.
Judas Priest is another one, yeah. Yeah. So
yeah, King of the Hill, it is streaming on Hulu, all 13 seasons.
Yeah,
so
that's what I thought it was. Excellent.
But yeah, it's one I've not, like King of the Hill just in general, I've not seen a whole lot of. It's
okay.
And I mean, everyone loves it. I know people recommend it to me all the time. So I'll definitely check this one out.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good one. Zach, what you got next?
I know that they're playing King of the Hill a lot still on Adult Swim right now. Like they're sort of like running through the whole series. A lot too, so I'll throw that out there too. The other one too also is Home Improvement. All of it is on Disney Plus.
Okay,
so if you want to check out the Rose episode that I talked about, and also the Skeleton Dance, Silly Symphony,
Silly Symphony
cartoon is also on there too. Which our engineer, I remember, texted me in a panic, like the Skeleton Dance is on Disney Plus. This is not a drill, because we love that one so much. Yeah, it's great.
I was trying to remember what Silly Symphonies, because it's not Merry Melodies. I know it's not Merry Melodies. What's it called? Right. Silly Symphonies. There it is.
So, all right, my next one. We are now entering the Frasier portion of the show.
Tossed salad and scrambled eggs.
The new Frasier or old Frasier?
No. See, I told you they need to change the name of the new one.
The New Adventures of Old Frasier.
Yep.
Frasier Classic.
Ah, yes.
Frasier Classic. Yes. So this is season 9, episode 6. It's called Room Full of Heroes.
Okay.
And what I like about this one is this one kind of flexes a little bit of kind of dramatic muscles.
Okay.
A bit. As much as you can in a sitcom. So the setup here is Frasier is throwing a Halloween party.
Okay. And
the theme for it is he wants you to come dressed as your hero. Right? And Niles ends up coming to this party dressed as their dad.
Oh, okay.
Right? And Frasier, who's dressed up as Freud, is, ribbing Niles the whole time, like, oh, you're just doing this to impress dad, you're just doing this to impress dad, come on, who's your real hero, what were you really gonna do and all that stuff. Meanwhile, everybody's having a great time at this party. Martin, their dad, is really, really touched by it and is having a laugh about it and all that other stuff. Niles starts to be in character like his dad. He starts drinking his dad's beers, and he starts having a little too much.
Right.
And then the setup here is that he starts saying stuff as if his dad is saying it.
Oh, boy.
Right. And he's saying as much as I tried, I never could, I never could identify with my kids. My kids were just so different and all that. Right. And it kind of starts taking this turn. Right. Where he's kind of lamenting a little bit this relationship with his dad and how they don't necessarily, they're so different. right? And it changes like the trajectory of the party where Martin gets up. He's like, I'm not going to have you like put words into my mouth like this. And he storms off, and it's sort of, you know, like he messes up the whole party. But I liked that this, so Fresh Prince kind of zany, funny, Home Improvement, prank war trope. And then this one sort of like kind of has like this poignant like moment, like father and son moment in there that is just sort of explored through dress up and Halloween.
It's a Halloween miracle.
There you go. We cracked it. We figured out what that means.
Yep.
No, that sounds great.
No, this one I do remember. I do remember this one a bit. I mean, I'm just a huge Frasier fan too. Classic Frasier. I don't know about new Frasier yet. We'll find out. But yeah, no, I kind of, that one was coming back to me when you were talking about it. And it is weird to see like heart in a Halloween one, or when it's not just like, oh, it was all just a dream.
Right.
Yeah.
Like actually have character movement, like an arc happen for the show there.
No, that sounds great. I don't remember that one. When did you say it was? What season?
That's a late one. So that's season 9.
Okay,
so
I might have tapped out by that
end.
point. But no, I'd like to check that out. That sounds great. Clifton, what you got next?
I'm going with a recent one, and that is the all-new Halloween Spooktacular from WandaVision.
Yeah.
Which, like, it's such a serialized show, so it's hard to say it's like just a Halloween episode you could watch, but kinda. Just because the nature of that show was every episode was sending up something from TV history, sending up a time, an era of TV, a style of show, a style of sitcom. And you get to that one, which is like they're kind of 90s-ish or 2000, I guess, like early 2000s-ish episodes, kind of like your Malcolm in the Middle, bordering on Modern Family type show.
Confessional or documentary.
Yeah, like the single camera with the cutaway confessionals and the like talking to the camera type stuff. And they also throw the Halloween tropes in there, which is great because like we all love the Halloween episodes. Obviously, I'm glad they were able to include them in their Marvel superhero show, a TV show about TV shows. And we get the great gimmick of Wanda and Vision in the costumes, but it's the costumes from the comics. Fun Easter egg, fun little gag there. But also, it's a really creepy episode. Like as that show keeps getting creepier, like that one pretty much becomes like shows you how creepy what's going on in this town is.
Right.
So it works on many levels for me for that reason.
Yeah, I like how creepy this episode was.
Yeah,
it was so cool because we watched this one with the lights off. Just like it just added to it. I'm like, I like how eerie it was.
Right. No, I love this one. This one almost made my list, but I figured someone would have it, so I didn't add it to mine.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a fun one. It's got some great bits. It's one of those things as you said, as things are unfolding, and you know, it's kind of like that moment of you know, when I think this is the one if I remember correctly, the one where Vision really starts to figure out something's not quite right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it's one of those things of confronting the situation of as unhuman as he is, he's so human. That's the thing I love about Vision.
Right.
So it's one of those things where he starts to basically like pull, as he's pulling at the thread of like what's going on, the realization of like, oh wow, this is not good. So,
and even as viewers, where you're like, as viewers, we're suspecting stuff's going on. We know some stuff's going on in this town, but I don't think we knew the extent of it to that point until you see what some of the people in this town are being subjected to, to the extent that they are, for part of the charade that is at the center of the show.
Yep, it's a good one. And that one, of course, is on Disney Plus. You can find it there.
Yes,
with all your other Marvel content. Well, most of it.
It's been a while since I've seen that one, but I remember in the moment going like, oh, like Malcolm in the Middle is a kind of a weird show to pick to be as sort of like the representative of that era.
Right.
I mean, there's certainly bigger shows.
Yeah.
And I remember, but then I like, there's just something about it. I remember I'm like, oh, this is what it gets you. Like it buys you this. Like it was like a formatting change. Like you're saying, like that confessional thing that it was sort of mixing with Modern Family.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this is so perfect for this kind of creepy, Halloween spooky episode.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'll keep the creep factor going. This is one that I was thinking about. That I always think about when I think about the show in particular, but I also think about it being a great Halloween episode. Is there's an episode from season 3. It's episode 5 of Quantum Leap.
Okay.
It's called The Boogeyman.
Okay.
So it's set in what is it? The leap itself takes place. Sam leaps into Halloween in 1964. He's a second-rate horror writer. This guy named Joshua Ray, and they believe that Sam is there because something's going on with Ray's fiance, this woman Mary. And it's one of those things where in a rewatch that I did recently of the original, I was amazed at some of the stuff that they try to tackle and how well they handle it. But like Quantum Leap doesn't have a lot of like death in it.
Right.
like not around Sam. Like Sam doesn't cause people's death. Sam's there to make things, better, to put history right.
He's there to stop people from dying.
Right, exactly. Usually it's like,
right,
usually it's like, it's a Wonderful Life thing of like, no, you're important. It's why you're here is to make things better. So like, there's a bit where, as this horror writer, they're doing the Halloween, they like live like in a spooky house and they're going to have a Halloween, thing for the kids in the house. And then, well, the handyman dies, right? And then an elderly neighbor dies. And each time Sam is seeing a goat either outside the window or at the death of like this other person. And Sam starts to get worried and he confronts Al. It's like, Al, what's going on? I need something more because this doesn't seem to be that I'm just here for this, this woman, for this fiance. And then she has a seizure and starts foaming in the mouth. And Al's, he's like, what is this? What's going on? Well, Sam starts to put together who he thinks is behind, who's doing this horrible stuff. And obviously he wants to leap out of there. And what I love about this episode is it's one of those things where, like, one of the things about the original Quantum Leap also is the fact that for a long time, they don't really know, who or what is moving Sam around through time. And every now and then they go like, well, maybe it's God. Maybe God or,
Right.
the universe or whatever is bouncing me around in time. And this sort of gives us the flip side of that, which maybe the devil doesn't like what I'm doing and I'm putting things right what should have stayed wrong.
Right.
And it ponders that question. And I love the fact that they put that out there and then there's a resolution to it all.
Okay.
So I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. It's a terrific episode of Quantum Leap. It's really groovy. It's got a great, like I said, not a lot of murder in Quantum Leap, but there's in this one. And then the other thing is just the fact that like some of the best Quantum Leaps, there's a nod to, a historical figure. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
In it as well. But it genuinely is a creepy episode. Like I'm like when I remember seeing it originally and again on the rewatch, I'm like, no, this still works. It's still creepy. So yeah, I highly recommend The Boogeyman. It's a great episode. Like I said, it's in season 3, episode 5, and it's you can watch that one on Peacock.
Yeah, it looks like 5 seasons on Peacock.
Yeah, you watch it all, the whole entire series there. But yeah, for this one for Halloween, it's a good one. So if you like your Quantum Leap at all, it's great.
That show did so much well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I never sat and I did a rewatch of it or anything. I never watched it in order. I always just kind of like the ones I caught were the ones I caught.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the older I get, the more impressed I am when I think about that show.
The other takeaway, I was too. Again, the rewatch, a lot of it. I mean, the majority of it holds up. There was not like there's an episode that's goofy for goofy's sake, but it's not like it's no. Overall, it's a great series. One thing I love about it, the fact is that when people complain about actors playing roles or playing people that aren't like the actor, nobody ever complains about Scott Bakula. I mean, Scott Bakula plays every possible, of the spectrum, plays every color, every race, plays all these different characters. Nobody blinks. Nobody says 2 words about good old Scott Bakula. And they should, because he's phenomenal and the show is well written. So, speaking of which, the show itself is credited to a guy named Chris Rupenthal. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He wrote a lot of the great episodes of Quantum Leap. I want to make sure we get his name out there because his stuff is great.
Okay.
They credit Belisario, who created it. I think he directs the episode, but I could be wrong. And it may just one of the things where they credit him just because he's the creator. But yeah, it's a great episode of TV. So
yeah, I'm sure I saw this when I was younger when it aired because I watched the show avidly. I was a huge Quantum Leap fan growing up, I can envision pieces of it. I remember some images from it and stuff. So I definitely will have to go back because I don't remember like the conclusion,
the resolution.
I don't remember the resolution, and I don't remember the historical figure who we may have encountered this time around. So yeah, I'll check this one out on Peacock.
Excellent.
Making my list for Halloween viewing for the rest of October.
Zach, what's next? What you got?
Boy Meets World is next.
I knew it.
I was going to ask about Boy Meets World.
I almost added it, but no, I didn't.
This is a good one.
No, I didn't. No.
This is a good one, everybody. So this is so now we're going into spoof territory.
Okay.
Okay. Which is interesting because of what it spoofs.
Mm-hmm.
So they do basically like a Scream episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like a very, very self-aware, we're in a horror movie, we're talking about horror movie tropes, we're behaving and not behaving in ways that we think are going to like attract the killer, not attract the killer, etc. Right? That sort of thing. I did not do a rewatch of this episode, unfortunately, leading up to this one, so it's kind of funny. It's season 5. It's a period where Corey and Topanga like break up, and Sean is kind of shaken by it a little bit because like he took some stability in his life from the fact that like their relationship was sort of like enduring always, right?
Right.
So there's some like whimsy to this episode. There's some like kind of like magical realism stuff going on over here with this episode. But like I said, it's self-aware. They do get Jennifer Love Hewitt to be in the episode.
Oh, I just remember, I remember there's the bit about just them like screaming. That was what I remember from the ads. That's what I remember. Okay.
Exactly. Right. Yep. That's it. She comes in. She's a new character that kind of like comes in like midway through like Act 2, you know, and just screams a lot as you do in a horror movie. I think the behind the scenes thing here with us, I think she was dating Will Friedle.
Yeah, I think that's right.
At the time. So there's like stuff like that. There's like, you know, the new character that comes on board and he dies right away. And it's just like a great, funny episode. And I like how they sort of get around we can't do blood because we're on TGIF.
Right.
But we're gonna kind of hint at it like this way, or we're gonna, you know, or we'll make this joke that will sort of, this object will take the place of blood. And I don't want to spoil it, but it's kind of funny when you see it. This episode does have, I think, like my favorite joke of all time in the show, which I'll spoil here. So the trope obviously is that like, right, like if you're a virgin, you're safe in these movies, right?
Right, of course,
right. And so they bring that part up, right? They bring up that aspect. So when they say like, if you're a virgin, you're safe, Eric and Sean's brother both go like, well, I'm dead, right? In that sort of like braggy, like male way.
Of course.
What I love about that is that the next line Sean has right after that is he goes, I'm as sick as you can possibly get without actually dying. And that joke just cracks me up every time. I'm floored that they got it in there.
Yeah.
that they let it pass.
Right.
But it cracks me up every time. I love that joke. So yeah, it's a fun episode. It's a really, really fun episode.
Yeah, I remember that episode like airing, and I remember like being a big like, you know, oh, they got Jennifer Love Hewitt, look at that. And then, you know, I never watched it, but
you weren't a TGIF fan at the time.
I mean, I logged some time with some of those shows. It just never really like I was not a regular viewer of all of those shows.
It wasn't appointment television. For
no,
Friday nights
I mean,
ABC.
I'm Clifton. I'm a cultured television watcher. I watch a wide variety of things. It just didn't happen to be my, you know, there was other stuff to watch. So
okay.
But I always I always catch commercials and be like, oh, that's interesting. And then, you know, keep on going. So,
Zach, were there other Boy Meets World Halloween episodes?
Were there other ones?
Because in Girl Meets World, they did one every year. And by that time, they were doing like a Treehouse of Horror type thing, where it was like every season of the 3 seasons of Girl Meets World, they did like a little horror anthology episode. That was like, you know, one of the like not in continuity kind of things, just like fantasy fun gimmick horror type stuff.
I mean, there must have.
Yeah.
I can't really remember off the top of my head, to be honest. I mean, that can't be the first one. I mean, you know, I would be very shocked if they went 5 seasons before they did 1.
Right.
So it's got to be in there somewhere. I just can't really quite remember.
It just sounds like a natural with a kid teen show.
Yeah,
that they would do more than one.
Well, especially especially too, like if you looked at the other shows on TGIF at that point, you know, Family Matters had one like every year.
Okay.
Right.
Or every other year, right? You know, same with like Christmas episodes. So like they would get to it pretty quick.
Because I mean, that's the thing. Like I remember again, not watching them, but I remember ads for like the various TGIF. You know, we're doing Halloween. You know, settle in, kids. Blah blah. You know, and all that kind of stuff. But again, didn't watch it. But I seem to remember like tons of ads for various episodes.
Yeah, and definitely like as it went on, like I remember like shockingly, there's no Family Matters on my list, but you know, like they did episodes with you know, like a killer dummy, like the Goosebumps episode, right? Like a killer Urkel dummy, right? That was out there,
right? I think I came across those in the list. Were those the ones called Stevel and Stevel 2? This time he's not alone.
Yep.
Those are their Halloween episodes from 1996 and 1997.
So was it Goosebumps / Chucky, or was it just Goosebumps?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the first episode. What I remember about that one, it was the only episode I recall where like it ended, the credits ran, and then like right after it, there was like a vignette of like the making of it.
Oh, okay.
For like 2 minutes, they were like showed you like all the different ways that like that they did sort of the cool, I guess, cutting edge tech like effects for TV,
right? Sure.
Which I mean,
for your little evil Urkel puppet or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and that is the thing that show does impress me in that way. Looking back at it, where I'm like, wow, like they did do like a kind of like, you know, the things that look primitive now, but I'm like, what was the budget on these shows per episode? Where like every episode was like, we're gonna do like kind of like a Dracula play, or then this other one we're gonna have like this weird effect where there's gonna be like 3 Urkels on camera at the same time, you know. And that was just another cool one. I thought that they sort of had, you know, animatronics, and they had like also just, you know, other actors like playing the dummy in places and stuff like that.
And that Urkel was a license to print money. They had no budgetary restrictions on that show, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so with the time that we have remaining, I guess we'll do like an honorable mention. I mean, I don't know if we've got a lot more left. Does anyone have like an episode or two that they were like, oh, I like this episode, or I thought this episode should be mentioned at least? I have a couple.
Yeah, I got a couple. Well, Clifton, you said Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed by how long I was thinking about this before I got to Treehouse of Horror.
Right.
Well, you didn't think of any animation at all, so.
Right.
Yeah. No. It was literally recording this episode saying I don't have animation was when it came to me like, oh, Simpsons. There's a crap load of them.
Right.
And I enjoyed a lot of them.
Sure, I did too. And it was one of the things where I thought about sifting through to find like, well, this one's the better one. But I mean, you know, it's almost the thing of, you know, do a Google search and look at what seasons of Simpsons were better than others. You'll find those Treehouse of Horrors are the same seasons generally. So there are some great ones. My
favorite, I think, is 3. I think it's Treehouse of Horror 3. I think that's my favorite.
That's your one?
I think that's the one with the King Kong Homer.
Okay.
And also like the zombie, like the zombie Flanders, like he was a zombie.
Oh, that's a great one.
Dad, you killed Zombie Flanders.
Yeah.
He was a zombie.
Eat lead, Shakespeare. That's that one, right? Yeah, that one's terrific. No, that's a great one. I love that one too. I mean, the other one that I really enjoy is from that is the Krusty doll.
Yeah,
the evil Krusty doll is pretty great. I love that one too. But I don't know what episode that. Again, it's one of those things where there's so many of them, and I think, like I said, if you just do a search for the seasons, you'll find that one. Not that we're lazy, we just, like I said, it was just one of those. I just think everyone has like it's low hanging fruit. Treehouse of Horror, sure, those are great.
The bus one I like too. That's the, you know, Nightmare at 20,000 feet, the Twilight Zone episode.
Sure,
which,
yeah,
I might have Twilight Zone.
Maybe. Yeah,
we'll see.
Sure.
We'll wait. We'll get to it.
I also had, as like some of my own role mentioned, I had, I mean, Modern Family did great Halloween episodes, but my favorite one is probably literally from season 2, episode 6. It's called Halloween. It's got a great bit with Phil talking to his neighbor who's going through a kind of a messy divorce, and Phil starts to freak out about that might be his future, and then he starts to worry about if boredom or whatever set in with Claire, and then the whole time Claire is obviously trying to do the Halloween haunted house. But it has the great bit of Mitchell having a new boss and wearing a Spider-Man costume under his suit to work.
Oh yeah.
Which is a great bit of getting stuck, realizing that it's one of those classic I overhear something, so therefore it's happening. So it's something about like his boss or something says something about only dorks and dweebs wear costumes to work, and he's stuck in the Spider-Man costume, and then has to shimmy down the drain pipe outside the bathroom for whatever. It was like something happens to his suit, and then he has to. So he's wearing like he's literally being Spider-Man down the side of the building.
Yeah,
which is it's so funny. And then the best thing about it was, to extend the joke even further, was when all the stuff was coming out for No Way Home for Spider-Man. There was someone had put together the meme of the three of them as well as Mitchell in the costume, and I so wanted some reference to it in it, but obviously we didn't get it. But still, it's one of my it's of all the I love the Halloween episodes of Modern Family. That was probably my favorite. Just that bit alone always makes me laugh because it's just Mitchell's just again. It's very much a low key thing. Like you don't really know how much of a comic book person he is, but every now and then like at one point they're going to finance their wedding, him and Cameron's wedding. They're going to finance with first appearance of Dr. Octopus.
Okay.
That he had that was up in Jay's attic, that kind of thing. And then the fact that he chooses to wear the Spider-Man costume under his clothes to work. Can't beat it. It's great stuff. So highly recommend that one. Yeah, I mean, again, most of the Halloween episodes on the show are fantastic, but this one's my favorite. So we got any more? Anybody else? Because I have a couple. If not,
I'll give an honorable mention to Werewolf by Night. The special.
Yeah, I was surprised we didn't get to this
special
sooner.
Presentation.
It's a good one.
Have either of you seen the color version yet?
Not yet. No.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
I kind of don't want to.
Yeah,
Same.
I was like, I'm happy with the black and white.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like there's probably people that don't like. They're like, I'm not going to watch this. It's black and white, and so maybe that's who they're trying to get to. And I guess those people are out there, but no, I don't need the color version.
No,
I love the black.
I like
and
black and white
version.
movies, so I'm all in.
I'm good with it.
And we already did a whole episode just about Werewolf by Night about a year ago when it first premiered. So please check that one out to hear all our thoughts on it. I
have two quickly, but they're actually from the same series, but I love them both equally.
Okay.
Community does some great did some great Halloween episodes, but I think the first two are the best. The first one they did was Introductions to Statistics. It's a Halloween episode, but it's also a Dia de los Muertos. They're taking Spanish the first season together, and Annie, played by Alison Brie, decides to throw this kind of party, kind of extra credit thing, and she can't get Jeff to go because he's one of the cool, like quote unquote cool kids. And if he doesn't go, then other people aren't going to go to the party. So it's a whole thing about trying to convince him. Has the great bit as Abed as Batman, which his Batman is fantastic. But yeah, it's a fun episode. I love it. It's got some really great bits of just character stuff, and everyone's got great moments. I love that one. But the second season, and I don't know, again, I go back and forth on which one I love more, is Epidemiology. That's season 2, episode 6.
Okay.
And that one is the dean throws a Halloween party, and there's a bit with some toxic taco meat that may or may not turn people into zombies. Just saying. But it's a great episode. It's got, again, a lot of great character stuff. It references a lot of great horror movies. There's some great, just some great sequences in it. I love both of the episodes. I mean, the other ones in the later seasons are good, but those two are probably the best.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have one Twilight Zone episode.
Okay.
And really, I could put the whole series in here, but and it's also like not really Halloween in any way, but it's sort of it occupies like Halloween space in my head because it's got like a ghost story component to it, like in the plot. So this one's called The Grave. It's from season 3, like 1961. Okay. I think with Lee Marvin.
Oh, okay.
And Lee Van Cleef and Chief O'Hara from Batman. What's his name? Stafford Rep.
Okay. Nathan Begora.
So it's a lot of like really cool, like kind of like tough guys.
Right. Right.
And so it's a Western, and the idea here is that Lee Marvin's, who's the name of the character I'm blanking, so I'm just gonna call him Lee Marvin the whole time. He was a bounty hunter trying to kill this one guy, and he ended up not doing it, and the guy ended up dying anyway. Okay. Right. And the idea, and so everybody thought that like he was afraid of him not fulfilling like the bounty on this guy, right? And the guy was like talking crap about him before he died and everything and all that stuff because he knew he was coming after him, and he said, if Lee Marvin ever comes after me, right, I will, like, and if he ever comes to my grave, like, I will reach out from my grave and grab him and pull him down.
Okay.
Right. And so they're in the bar, they're talking about him, and they're all calling him like a scaredy cat and a wimp, and he's afraid of this other guy and everything. And so then there's a wager that comes out where he's like, I'm not afraid of him. I tried to go after him all these other ways, all these different ways, and like couldn't find him. There's no trace of him over here. So they're like, all right, well, if you're not afraid of him, you're not afraid to go to his, to his gravesite. $20 says you won't go to his gravesite, and the way that we'll know that you've actually been there is you have to put your knife down in the mound, and that's how we'll know that you were there.
Okay.
Right. And so it culminates in like that moment where like he's walking to the grave to go do this, and I don't want to spoil what happens.
Okay.
It's awesome, but it's a really great episode. So there's nothing dress uppy about it, but there's like a ghost story beyond the grave kind of component to this that I like, and it is a quiet, kind of creepy, eerie,
sure,
episode, not unlike all the other ones on the list here. So
no, it sounds terrific.
It's so good.
Okay.
It's so good.
I'll check that out now.
The Grave.
Okay.
Season 3.
Very good. All right. Well, the last one again, that I've got is one that's the Big Megillah, the one that we kind of surprised we haven't got to yet, but it's probably sure it's on the top of everyone's list, or at least on the list, is It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Yes.
How could you not look forward to watching this?
Oh, right.
Oh, that one. That particular episode.
Which we know one listener was probably yelling at us this whole episode.
Right.
Right. Hi, Devon.
Saying, how have you not brought it up yet?
Yeah. How has it not come up? You guys went through all this stuff. Well, this one is like, this is the finger roll. This is like, the easy layup into Halloween.
Right. But definitely worth going into, because
absolutely,
it is arguably the first televised Halloween special.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find definitively a statement on that. I just found lots of, it's widely believed to be as the descriptor when I was trying to research it, that it aired in October 27th, 1966, and preempted My Three Sons that night.
The indignity.
But was number one in that week's Nielsen ratings. So it was pretty much an instant hit. I think it was the second ever Peanuts animated special. And around that time, they were running one or two a year. So this was only the second one. And then I think after that, it kind of was one or two a year, depending on the years, different things. But yeah, it's cemented Halloween, I think, in the minds of a lot of people. Not just watching Halloween specials, but a lot of traditions that they do in it, the trick-or-treating, the Halloween party. A lot of people get it cemented in their minds from that. It was happening, obviously, out in the world. That's what they're referencing. But I think it just kind of coalesced a lot of Halloween ideas at that point in time that became what was later pop culture Halloween for all of us.
Yep. The believing in a supernatural being on a pumpkin patch, all of that stuff that you normally do as a kid.
Yes. Yeah. Some of it didn't quite stick, but some of it did. But yeah, no, it was an instant classic. Became a staple to watch every single year for many, many people. Unfortunately, it's, I think, only available on Apple TV Plus right now.
Yeah, the window is from the 21st to the 22nd is when you're able to watch it on Apple TV.
Okay. So. And it might pop up on PBS. They did have a deal with various PBS stations, I think, in last year or the year before, to be able to show it on some PBS stations sometimes, other than Apple Plus. But yeah, unfortunately, that's the only place to watch it.
I don't like that these corporations are swallowing up these traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, I did just rewatch this one just the other night for the season. 'Tis the season.
Right.
And the Apple Plus restoration is really good.
Okay.
The backgrounds, everything, you can see the brushwork and the pencil work. And it is really cool to see it at that high level of quality and not old, VHS broadcast quality. One thing I didn't remember, even though I had seen it a lot, every time I see it, I forget that World War I Snoopy is such a big part of this thing.
Right.
Because it's lots of little vignettes, and they're so depressing because it's like, you know, Charlie Brown, one of the little vignettes is Charlie Brown so excited to get invited to a Halloween party for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
I think invited to a party in general.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think it's Lucy that's like, oh, there were two lists. There was the list of people to invite and the list of people not to invite. I think you got the wrong list. I think they sent out invitations from the wrong list. And that was pretty much Charlie Brown back in those days. Yeah. It was very depressing. It was a very depressing comic originally.
What jackass gave him rocks?
Well, it happens at every house they go to if you watch this.
Yeah.
Every single
Every
house.
adult gives the poor kid rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I break the windows.
Just sort of whip them with their car.
Right. But then we get the Snoopy is the World War I pilot. And we don't see Red Baron in this one. He gets shot down behind enemy lines and goes through this entire like fantasy sequence where he's trying to fight his way out from behind enemy lines.
Mm-hmm.
But it's some gorgeous animation and reminds me of Oscar nominee 1917. With cinematography by Roger Deakins. Like some of the shots in this, I'm like, oh man, this is gorgeous. Like the silhouette shots of him like sneaking through the tall grass. It's so good. I was like, I don't remember this being here at all in this Halloween special, but it looks great. So I recommend that. And eventually Snoopy makes it to the party in his World War I costume. So it kind of makes sense, but no, it's a great special. I definitely recommend checking it out.
Excellent. All right, so as we're winding down, I was thinking, I did have the question, what's something that should have had a Halloween episode that didn't get one? So I'll let you ponder that for a moment or two. And I'll let you know that you can check out all of our past episodes at our website, letmeknowhowitis.com, as well as anywhere you find podcasts. Just please, if you enjoy the show or feel so inclined, give us a like or follow and leave a review. It really helps us out a lot. Finally, if you'd like to suggest a topic, send it our way by email at info@letmeknowhowitis.com. You can find us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is our show's initials, LMKHII, and we'd love to hear from you. So, gentlemen, what's something that you thought this show should have had a Halloween episode but never got one?
I swear, I'm not making jokes, Edgy. Honestly, when you pitched this idea, for some reason, the first one to come into my head, the first show to come into my head was, did Taxi have a Halloween episode?
I think so.
Did they? Because I can't remember it.
It's a good question. I want to say yes, but I'm not certain. And you would think I would know this. I should know this.
But for some reason, that's the one that I'm sort of like, Taxi. Right. But if they got one, it doesn't count. Okay. Let me think.
Let me see. I think the closest is what I'm seeing is, hold on, season 3, episode 10, the costume party. But that's not really a Halloween episode.
Okay.
They think they're going to crash a party that's got celebrities at it, so they dress up. And then they did dress up occasionally for stuff. So
that's a good setup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, I would definitely watch a Taxi Halloween episode. I think there's a lot of things you could have done and played with, the idea.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot there.
Yeah. Now that I really want one, but I guess no, there wasn't one. I don't know. Like it's one of those weirds of like sitcom stuff. I'm like, they had to have one, but no, I guess they didn't. So good choice.
Thank you.
Saved me burning my choice with that one. So Clifton, what about you? What do you think?
I mean, I was in the same situation. I can't remember what didn't have Halloween episode. I was like, did Cheers have a Halloween episode?
I think so. I thought I saw one when I was looking at lists of stuff, but I couldn't remember the episode itself.
I think they had Prank War episodes.
Yeah, they did do Prank War episodes.
Right.
Was that with like Gary's Old Town Tavern or with other people?
Yeah, I think so. Weren't those Halloween episodes?
I want to say yes, but again, I haven't seen Cheers regularly in like eons.
Yeah,
it feels
I can't remember. I can't remember either. I'll have to co-sign Taxi if it didn't have one.
Okay, that's fine. I would double down on a Halloween Taxi episode. The one that I thought was like, because again, I feel like for a minute I thought, well, we didn't really get. I mean, obviously we got it later in the DC animated stuff. Was Long Halloween. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
But and again, I keep thinking of like when I think of it's the sequence in Almost Got Him with Poison Ivy at the pumpkin patch. That to me is like another small bit. The one that I thought of all the animated, like the Tim Dini stuff, I thought we never got like a Superman the animated series Halloween.
Right.
Okay.
And I think there was a lot you could have done with Kirby stuff, especially.
Yeah. Right.
You know, whether it would be Etrigan or
not quite. They sort of the Dr. Fate episode.
Yeah, a little bit.
Where they go up against Karkle was for a little bit kind of sort of a de facto Halloween one.
Right. And then I saw another list that someone said like Unity is kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, kind of a feel to it.
Right.
And I thought, well, yeah, kind of. But I mean like full on like Smallville and Halloween or Metropolis and Halloween. Like you don't really get a lot of those. And the idea that, you know, I mean, granted, that version of Superman is you know, there's a lot of stuff affects him more than other versions of Superman. But the fact that we don't get a lot of full on magic, I think would have been, you know, that's your opportunity to really like have some fun with it and be like, nope, this is Halloween in Metropolis or Halloween in Smallville. Like, you know, I'm sure Clark grew up with a lot of the same Halloween tropes that everybody else did.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So
it's the one thing that I wish that they did more on Superman, because they're like those early Batman episodes, you got like weather for no reason other than like it's in the snow and it's cool.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily relevant to the plot. And I wish that we got a little bit more of that stuff in like Superman and Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
I also can't get over the fact that you put in Bruce, like, you know, Batman animated series Superman, and I said Taxi.
Right. Yeah.
I'm blown away because we did not plan this.
No, we did not.
And nobody will believe us.
I think Zach has been replaced by a body snatcher.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Exactly. Ooh, real scary kids. All right. So that's our favorite Halloween episodes and specials. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.